Hey mamas, welcome back to another episode. I'm Jess. I've got three special ladies today, so we start off with my co-host.
I'm Melissa. I'm back.
Yes, for one night only.
Yes, I'm back for the episode. Our amazing Erica isn't feeling too well, and so as the silent M, always in the background, I've stepped in. So I'm sorry if I'm rusty.
And today, ladies, we have got two very special ladies that we've been following on Instagram for quite a while. And do you know what? It's always that thing when you come across people on Instagram that are genuine and they tell you the bad stuff in a good way, and there's that positive energy to it. So today we've got Leela and Katie from Better Birth.
Yeah, from Better Birth Antenatal Classes. So many people get really confused with our at name. Some people call us, one person called us Better Birth Sanctuary.
The Sanctuary.
Yes, Sanctuary.
And we also had one that said Better Birth Ank.
Yeah,
Like, who?
yeah. So the
Yeah.
ANC stands for Antenatal Classes. That's what we are.
To be fair, when I was like looking through and I was like, oh, let's have them on the podcast, I did say Ank as well, but I was like, oh my god, no, I'm sure it's not that. It must have a meaning to it.
We would have just stuck with Better Birth, but it was taken, so we had to add some sort of we had to add something.
Mama's Code.
How are you? How has your day been, all of you?
We both had an NHS day today, didn't we?
We had an it's funny that we say that because we are NHS midwives, but we also obviously are Better Birth. So Better Birth is our private side hustle. And whenever we have an NHS day, it's very full on heavy NHS, but the side hustle always comes in. So we can be NHS day, but Better Birth is always in the background.
As always.
Guys, and what do you mean by NHS and is that private midwifery care? I don't even know how to say.
Go on. So what we do is NHS side, Leela is a team leader for a continuity of carer team, so a community midwifery team. So Leela will coordinate all the midwives in her team, but she also has an antenatal caseload, does her antenatal clinic and attends women in labour. My NHS job is to roll out continuity of carer at the trust that we work at. So my role is more service innovation, but I am a midwife also. And then Better Births, which is our passion, is antenatal education. So what we do is we provide antenatal classes for women and their partners. And we do it on a one-to-one basis rather than group classes. You know, those group classes like NCT and all of that. I'm not bashing them, but we're not all about making friends. We're about educating women so that you make informed choices. And so when we talk about Better Birth side, it's the classes we teach and it's the follow-up package with regards to the group chats that we have. So there's constant contact with a midwife. So those are the two sides of our coin. That's what we do.
I have a question for you guys real quick.
Go on.
Are you both mums?
Yes.
Okay, so when it came to your pregnancies, did you guys, because we talk about continuity of carer, but did you guys experience continuity or no?
I mean, if seeing a midwife and a medic 2 times in 2 weeks after I had my baby and that's it is what you call this, then yeah.
What about antenatally? Did you see the same person?
No. It was just from the beginning. And this is something actually I wanted to ask this was that, you know, you always have this image of, oh, this is your midwife. Nice to meet you. I'm going to be with you through the whole journey. And I never saw her again. And it's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
So I know I just saw, you know, the health visitor that came around, the midwife, and that was it.
Yeah.
And you know what? That's initially why Leela and I set up Better Births, to be honest, because women don't receive continuity. How can you build a relationship with a woman, with a midwife, and ask her all the things you're absolutely petrified about? Like, is my bumhole going to bust open when I push this baby out? You're not going to ask someone when you first meet them.
You're not.
So Leela and I were like, yo, let's set this up and let's have this constant communication with women. Let's be there constant. We're lucky that the trust that we both work at, we are rolling out continuity of carer.
Yeah.
So the women on the NHS side at the trust where we work, and this is something that's nationwide, it should be rolled out at every hospital, just different hospitals are at different stages.
Yeah. But we are at our NHS hospital, we're kind of leading the show a little bit. So in the area that we're in, so we're part of a busy NHS hospital in North Central London, so Northwest London, and of all the hospitals in our area, we're leading it. And so I'm the team leader, like Kate said, I'm the team leader of one of our flagship teams. So we're one of the first teams that rolled it out, and Kate is in charge of basically helping to push all the other teams in the exact same way. And we talk about teams so much because it's one of those things that actually what they want to do, the 5-year plan for all of this, is that everyone in their pregnancy will be led by a midwife on a community team. And then that team is going to be that team that deliver you and that deliver your baby, basically. Does that make sense to you guys? Because we always talk about continuity of care, but not everybody knows what we're talking about.
No, it makes sense. And also, you guys are like Northwest influencers then. Like, I literally feel like I'm talking to like celebs, midwives. I'm like, wow, you guys are doing it. You guys are doing it for the team.
Take it. I have to admit, there's been one occasion where I was sat in a coffee shop and there was a group of women all with their newborns. I had never seen them in my life, and they all turned around at one point and just looked at me, and I just thought, what have I done? I don't know. Am I known for good or bad? I don't know.
Yeah.
Katie, was that what happened to you the other day?
Literally. I'm laughing. Literally the other day I had a woman come up to me in a coffee shop and she was like, Katie, and I was like, hi. And I'm thinking, have I seen your vagina? Like, have I delivered your baby? Like, how do you know me?
Do we know each other?
And then she said, I follow you on Better Birth. And I was like, oh, cool. And then I was like, I don't know what to say to you. Because like literally the conversation ended there.
We're just not used to it, but we absolutely love it. I have to admit, I get so excited. I get really excited. Then Kate called me and she said, oh my God. And I was like, yes, it's wicked.
No, it is. And you know what? It's just a thing of like, you're doing such a great job that it is bouncing forward. And I say it because, you know, we've had a lot of midwives on like Instagram that we come across, but it's all very professional, very like boring. Like, I get it, your job is, you know, yeah, like your job is like not boring, and we've always said it, it's such a fun job, but it's just too much information at once, whereas you guys are like the cool team, you know, you got reels coming left, right and center, all your posts, and it's like bite-sized information in a way that I want to hear it. I want to hear you tell me that I shouldn't do that, but in a good way.
The same way our Instagram is very drip feed, bite-sized information, that's what we believe antenatal information should be. So we always go on about, you know, your pregnancy is like, your labor is like this massive marathon that you're going to be training for. You need to train for it, the coming up to it. Now, you can't just turn up the day that you start contracting and expect to do it like, you know, everything's absolutely fine. There should have been some form of training involved, and that needs to be via the midwife and via the healthcare professionals that you see. Unfortunately, in the NHS, there isn't the time to do that. That's just fact. That's 100% fact. It would be stupid of us to sit on our Instagram and say midwives are this and midwives are that, because actually that's not what the majority's experience is. And we're here to say we hear that and we see it and we're living it. We're living proof of that. But we're here on the sidelines, and there's that option for you too. Or here's how to access it via the NHS if you don't have the means to do it with us.
You know, the other thing as well added on to that is that there are a lot of accounts, midwifery accounts on Instagram, that will talk about what your iron level should be in pregnancy. Baby, your midwife can do that. Yeah. Let's talk about how to prevent tearing. Let's talk about
postnatal
depression, about bonding with your baby. Let's talk about that transition from woman to mother. Let's talk about these things that, to be honest, if you're not seeing the same midwife consistently, you're not going to get this information, and then there's the potential to struggle. Yeah. So it's all about our content is all about what's actually going to benefit the women. We can talk about your iron level, we can talk about the ins and outs of that side of it, but it's not going to benefit you. That's the key thing.
But it's also then giving them the small bits of information, little and often, because you're not going to, it's too much to take in one go, and that's it. One woman will just be like, fuck this, I'm not doing this anymore, I'm just going to wait for the day. And like, it's just what I don't know won't hurt me. And actually it's the absolute opposite when it comes to labor and birth, I think. And there's a lot of women who have that mentality, and that's fine if that's the kind of people they are, that's okay. But I just feel like actually ignorance is not bliss in this situation. And also knowing too much isn't great as well, which is why you won't find us talking about there's so much that we don't touch on. And even in our classes, we go on about the fact that they're bespoke, they're tailor-made, because there's no point us telling you something about gestational diabetes when you don't have gestational diabetes. There's no point us talking to you about, I don't know, whatever experience that might have happened to the lady on your right when it didn't happen to you or the lady on your left. So we have to speak about what you've gone through or what you're going through for you to understand what your body is telling you. And that's what we're all about. The Instagram matches our classes. It's bite-sized info, and it's a long period of time. It's not just given overnight. like.
And also, sorry, just to add that, because Mel's got some exciting questions, is that, oh my God, I forgot. Oh, as a first-time mum, you already have to deal with so much information and emotions, because whether you were ready, whether you were planning, whether this is like, yes, I'm down for having a baby, so much information goes in from the minute you say you're pregnant to the minute after your child is born.
And you know what else we find? There are so many first-time mothers mothers full stop, women full stop, who get so much information from like their neighbor, or that somebody in Boots pipes up with some information about your bump looks massive, and it's like, that's not helpful information. So it's about filtering out the rubbish and picking and holding on to the bits that are going to benefit you. The other thing we find is that with second-time mothers, they come to this experience with their previous experience still at the forefront of their mind. And so for a lot of women, it's about being given an opportunity to debrief what happened previously, to be able to go into this experience to get a better birth experience. No pun intended, but this is where it's all come from. It's about achieving the best experience of something that is life-changing that you possibly can.
Absolutely.
So it's so interesting how it differs between first-time mum and second-time mum. And actually, we thought a lot of our clientele would be first-time mothers. Actually, we have it, I think it's about 50-50.
Yeah.
First-time mothers, second-time mothers who come to us at Better Birth.
So guys, we thought maybe, to be honest, sometimes we do these would you rather questions to break the ice a little bit. If the conversation isn't, as flowy and as sparky, but let me tell you, we guys are super interesting, and honestly, I don't think it's needed, but it's definitely needed for fun. So
go for it.
I have 2 questions for you guys, and Jess also has some questions. So my first question is, would you rather a non-stop talkative birthing partner or one that's prone to fainting?
One that's prone to fainting.
100%. My husband, he knew not to say a word, and the boy did not say a word. One that faints.
Get faint. Just go faint. Let me do my job. I'm joking. I tell you why. The fainters are always funny. It's just a little bit of entertainment. It's just a bit selfish.
It's a good story.
Yeah, it's always a good story. And then it's always quite, we have an emergency bell, and the emergency bell is like an episode of Casualty. Like everyone runs in when you pull it, but everyone runs in towards the mum. The dad's on the floor fainted, and you're like, no. The problem is there on the floor.
So the bell is not only for the mother, the patient, but also for
anything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Anything that you need more than like one pair of hands for.
Yeah.
Get in.
Gosh, that's amazing. Okay, and my next one is, would you rather help deliver a baby at hospital or a home birth?
Ooh. Do you know, I'm going to go with hospital.
Why?
I'll tell you why home, easy. You don't do anything. You literally just sit like this.
It's true. Yeah, home is very like, you're so hands off. The woman does absolutely everything. Women who deliver at home are a different kind of empowered. They are a different kind of strong. And I'm not taking strength away from people who've who've birthed in the hospital. They are so strong, but you have to be so mentally prepared and mentally strong
and empowered and have
and confident
in your body.
That's it. It's the confidence. They have such a confidence in their body that actually they don't even give a shit if we're there or not. And a lot of the times you can be in another room, and most of the times their birth plan is that we don't even want the midwife in the room, so you literally just sat in their kitchen like, okay.
Oh my God, you say that, and I was at the birthing centre, and I thought it was that thing when, oh yeah, come over around and see the birthing, but this was away from the hospital, completely out of the way. And I was like, yeah, I really love it. I love the energy. Anyways, we got there on the day, and the midwife, she came in, did her initial check, and said, okay, we'll see you in 4 hours. And I was like, wait, what? And then she was like, yeah, like, everything you need is here. She gave us a little tour of the room. Help yourself to anything. And I was like, wow, okay. And it just felt, it genuinely was like, she came in and she was like, oh, let's check you again. Okay, all right, see you soon. And like, I was like, wow, okay.
to be able to sit back and just sit and watch a woman do the most empowering thing she's ever going to be able to do, and to give her that confidence by just allowing her to do it, is my favorite part of the job, NHS job. That is the favorite part of the job.
I have to say though, when you're at the hospital, there's just a level of, I know this sounds really bad, but where the woman is super confident at home, I feel like the midwife is super confident in the hospital, because you know, at the end of the day, worst case scenario, everyone you need is right there. Whereas at home, there's a lot of responsibility on your shoulders, and we really chose the job that comes with fucking shitloads of responsibility.
Yeah, legit.
There's no running from that.
Do you know what? To add to that, me and Erica always say that it's amazing to like be able to be that person that has your child at home. But even if you do everything perfect, you birth your baby perfectly, and then 10 minutes later, your baby can be going blue and dying in your arms, and that is just that. Like, I don't know, I can't remember what the film was on Netflix.
Oh my god!
Yeah, that film. And then she's like, oh my god, the baby's going blue, and the dad is like, oh my god, like they both responded really quickly, but it's like the baby passed, and it was nothing that they had done wrong, and it's like.
I'm just going to say, for anybody who listens to this, and if they go ahead and watch that film, that is not how home births are done. Like, there were so many things that we were watching in that, like, that's wrong, you don't do that.
It's like watching One Born Every Minute with the midwife.
Because we don't do that either.
Because the whole way through, we're like, that doesn't happen. That's not realistic.
And
that's
see,
anything.
That's interesting, because I know that when I was pregnant with my daughter, One Born Every Minute was something that I would watch as a thing, like, you know, oh shit.
That's your like education, isn't it? When you don't want to inform yourself in any, like when you don't want to do actual like classes or anything else, the majority of our women will say, we started watching One Born, and it's like, why are you doing that to yourself?
And we sit there like, why?
Yeah. Why did you do that? But yeah, it's all entertainment. Everything on TV has to be for entertainment. It's not what it is. It really isn't. Apparently on One Born, midwives just sit and drink tea, and we tell women to push. That's it.
Did you have a cup of tea today?
No. Actually, this was my first.
Right, the next would you rather is, would you rather scoop the poop out the pool or wipe it when they're on the bed?
Out the pool.
Out the pool. My
Does it stink less?
Do I tell them the story?
It does stink less. Tell them the story.
I got a really good story. It's confidential because I'm not going to say anybody's name.
Yeah. 100%.
Are you ready? So I had a woman once who was pushing on the bed. And as she was pushing, she was opening her bowels. And obviously I like got rid of the Inco sheet and whatnot, like the absorbent sheet. And after pushing, she turned to her partner and she was like, have I pooed myself? And he looked at me. So I'm like, say no. So he was like, no, babe, you're doing really well. I was like, you're doing really well. Just keep pushing. Next contraction, she pushes. And then afterwards she goes, to me, have I pooed myself? And I was like, no, you haven't pooed yourself at all. No, you're doing great. Third time she opens her bowels again. And then she goes, okay, either I fucking shat myself or one of you two have, because it fucking stinks in here.
Oh my god.
Legit. I'm not even joking. I would rather scoop God knows how much poo out of a pool. Like legit. I really would, because the bed stinks. This is why masks in COVID are good though.
Well, sometimes
you can go like this.
Sometimes the mask in COVID really traps the smell in between your mouth and the mask. Honestly, I didn't think it was possible, but it's really possible.
So I have a really I think this is just for myself, but is it always a poo, or can you have diarrhea? Because if you do a diarrhea in the pool, how the hell are you going to be scooping that up?
Yeah, those women do not stay in the pool, babes.
Yeah, they don't stay in the pool. And you can 100% have diarrhea. I had a woman once who was eating a KFC at the beginning of her labour, and I thought this is going to come back to haunt all of us. Yeah, and it was awful. It was so bad.
But yeah, no, but do you know what it is though? We joke about it, we do, but the fact is, as no one's lying here, it's always going to be no one likes to scoop poo and nobody likes to clean it. That's even if it's for your child, nobody likes to do it. But as midwives, we get so excited when they do.
Yes.
Because to us, it's a wicked sign that actually you're pushing in the right place. So we get really happy because we're like, yes. So you clean it up in the moment. You don't even think twice about it, but you're just like, oh my God, wicked. I don't even need to tell you how to push because you're doing it.
And you know the thing, we're joking about it now, but one, it's so normal. It's so common. It's a big concern for a lot of women. And it's one of those things where if it's going to happen, it's going to happen. Who cares? You're about to have your baby. You're going to become a mother.
Exactly.
Like it's just one of those things. We're joking about it, but legit, it's not that deep.
No.
No, and also if you think about it, the way you're pushing, like you need to bear in mind that your body is actually opening at the back as well to let this human through you. It's going to happen.
And you know the other thing I always say to women, if you feel that urge to poo, think, what is happening in the anatomy? What is happening in my body? Your baby's nose is pushing on your rectum and is basically encouraging that poo to be moving down as well. When women think, oh my God, my baby's head is that low that is pushing on my bum, all of a sudden it doesn't matter what happens, whether we poo ourselves or not, my baby is about to meet me. So really refocusing what we're feeling and what we're thinking at the time.
Guys, listeners, honestly, if you poo yourself, you know you're doing it right. So
Exactly.
Yes to the poo.
Just let it go.
Okay, the last one was, would you rather perform an slit them, or use forceps?
The thing is, we can't answer that because we don't do forceps. It's the doctors who do the forceps. And I'm gonna go with do forceps.
You really like all the drama, don't you?
I honestly, it's really funny. We've been doing this. I'm 10 years in the job and Katie's 11. And in my life, I think maybe I've done 3 episiotomies.
Do you want to know, hand on heart, how many episiotomies I've done? Legit, none.
And
in 11 years.
And you will literally find us.
So pass me the forceps, because I'll have more clue with forceps.
In the room, if that woman needs an appease, I'll literally be like, somebody else needs to come in and do it because I'm not doing it. There is, I don't know, everyone's got their thing. Everyone's really got their thing. And for me, I'm just like, And the one time I did try and do it, I stabbed myself with the fucking needle when I was trying to give her local anesthetic. And I thought, fuck this, I can't even do it, man. Because just the thought of it really pisses me off. I'm not an episiotomy fan, and I will move fucking mountains for that woman to push her baby out without an episiotomy. I think we all would prefer a woman to tear naturally than have an episiotomy, because the healing is better. But we all know that when an episiotomy is needed, it's needed.
Funny story. When I was having my daughter, I was taking forever to push because I just had a feeling I was going to tear. Leela was my midwife, and she was like, come on, Kate, you can do it. And I got to this point where I was like, oh, for fuck's sake, Leela, please just do a Kiwi. Just use the suction cup and drag the baby out.
Just pull her out.
Leela looks at me like my mum, and she goes, you know, I can't do that, Katie. That would be the doctors.
Literally, I think it was like 10 minutes later, the kid came out.
Like, fuck off, just do it.
As midwives, we have this thing that if a woman's not doing it, threaten her with the doctors, and then bam, the kid comes. Women don't want the doctors there.
How did you ladies meet?
We actually met at work. So we met at the NHS trust that we currently work in together now. And it's a really funny story because it was a brand new place, and I thought, I'm not going to find anyone cool here because this is gonna sound really bad, but I just thought it's just people aren't cool.
Can we hope that none of your old colleagues are listening to this?
And I have wicked friends, but the majority there's a lot of mature people, there's a lot of mature midwives, like loads of them. So I'm just like, well, I don't really have much in common. They're all whatever. And then I saw Katie at the bottom of the stairs, and she's like ranting on to someone on the phone, like, what are we going to do? And then we're going to have to get the solicitors. And then whatever. And all she was talking about was basically how something to do with her new move, like some sofa or something, was delayed. But she was mad. And I just thought, she's a bit of me. I really hope I get to meet her at some point. Then I walked up the stairs, like I went somewhere else and came back in to the office, and it was her. And I was like, And then she goes, oh, hello, Leela. You're going to be following me today. And I was like, yes.
And it was love at first sight.
Yeah, that's it. So I ended up working on the same team as Katie. We were both initially, so in NHS, you work as banding. So your band 6 is like your kind of junior. I say junior really lightly, but your junior midwives. And then the more senior you become, the higher the banding gets. So we were both band 6 midwives on the same team. And then we both branched out 3-4 years later into our band 7 roles and progressed.
I wanted to just ask you a quick question, because you said some of the midwives were more mature. Like, some of the horror stories that maybe we would hear of women who have had their babies with midwives who are maybe a bit older have a different experience to midwives who or ladies who've had younger midwives.
Yeah.
How is that, let's say, for you guys? Because I think if I was to have you guys as my midwife, probably my experience would have been more enjoyable, and mine wasn't bad. It was really good and I enjoyed it, but just by speaking to you, I can already see how comfortable a mum would be around you guys. So how is that for you when you're working with older midwives?
So here's my thing. It's obviously like dependent on people's personalities, and I feel like women that go into midwifery are strong, empowered, opinionated, loud women.
We're all the same,
just like as a general.
Yeah.
Now you have some midwives. So there's a governing body in the UK called the Nursing Midwifery Council, and they require you to practice based on the most up-to-date research and best available evidence. Now, the midwives who are dated in their practice, let's just put it like that, aren't then maintaining their professional standards in that they're not practicing on the best available evidence. With regards to building a rapport with people, that can just be personality, that can be being tied with the job, that can be a lack of vivacious attitude to life, full stop. But you know what, babe? That's your time to retire because you're doing wrong by the women in your care. That's the problem. If they're not practicing based on the best available evidence, professional issue. If they are just dead as anything, time to retire, you're over this now. You're not getting goosebumps as you deliver that baby, and that's the problem. I feel like where we work, we're lucky. We don't have that many of those midwives, to be really honest.
No, we don't.
And the thing is, age is not a thing. I think staffing wise, when you look at who you build rapport with as a midwife to midwife relationship, you can cross like decades of age, and that's not an issue because you've just got the same attitude to what you're doing. Where I worked previously, though, there was a big issue with regards to like a hierarchy. I've been here longer than you, I know more than you shush and you sit in the corner type thing. That's wrong.
There's also, I mean, look at now, you guys, I mean, you guys will tell me if you experienced this, but when you had your children, did you have like your parents or like your grandparents or just older generations tell you about what to do with your child? But I feel like in midwifery, it's very, very similar, that the older generation is very much like, we did it this way in my time and this is what worked. And I just think people don't do well with change, and in the NHS there is constant change, and if you can't keep up with it, that's what really you tend to find yourself kind of stumbling back all the time trying to catch up, and you just can't do it. Let's not forget as well, the strain that there is now on the NHS is enough to put people off of a lot. So everybody around you right now, especially in the world of Instagram, you've got so many people around you who are like they're not that we're not succeeding, but they're showing their success very differently, and they're showing their success through holidays in Dubai and designer clothes and this and that. And I remember, you know, I bought my first pair of designer my first pair of designer shoes like last year, and it was the biggest thing. I've never in my life spent money on a pair of shoes like that in my entire life, so that was huge for me. And I didn't do it through Better Births. Better Births doesn't bring in money like that the way people think, and I did it just by saving up. But I remember another midwife that I used to work with spoke to some girls, and it got to me through the grapevine, and they said, well, what does she do if we're all in the same job? So how can she afford that? And I just think it's Instagram, and it's the way you show your life. It's the way you portray your life, that sometimes we're guilty of it as well. We go to work and we get so frustrated that we really want Better Birth to be our main thing, and we're so passionate about it. But you come to work and you're being kind of shut down by management, by NHS systems. And you just think, this isn't what I wanted to do. This is not the life I wanted to live. And then unfortunately, it shows through the care that you give to your women. And it shouldn't be like that, but it is.
You know, the one other thing I would add to this is that no matter the worst day I could have had, the women that I looked after in the NHS would never have known.
No. And actually, they make my day better. Yeah. Don't you think?
This is a personality thing. Yeah. But like, I can think of scenarios where something terrible would happen. I would be sat in my car crying, but you know, the minute I'm going to go in and to do my clinic, nobody would know a thing.
Yeah, I think I went through like 3 breakups in my entire midwifery career, and every time I would just throw myself into work because I couldn't stand being at home on my own and I just wanted to be doing my night shifts. Or
but this is a personality thing, because I would always think to myself, I want to be the midwife I would want to receive.
Yeah,
that's the thing.
Yeah.
And again, that's a personality thing, because some midwives couldn't care less.
Yeah. It's also, I just think it's very much insecurity as well. If there's something in your life that you're insecure about, it's going to show in every aspect, your relationships, your work, everything. And unfortunately it exists with everyone, including midwives. And the difference is you see it with us because you are the receiver, you are the pregnant person who comes to receive that care. Whereas if I was doing it to a computer screen, nobody would know, you know.
I remember you guys had a question box up once, and we asked you, why is it that so many people come across, oh, that midwife was horrible, and that, you know, the medics weren't really doing it for me, and your response was because their passion has died for the job, and obviously they can't really be like, oh, I'm going to resign tomorrow because they've got bills to pay and a family to feed. But do you feel like the NHS adds a lot to these people's behaviours and personalities and characters? Because I'm sure outside of the job, they're lovely people.
100%, I agree with you. The thing is, with the NHS, I'm a big fan of the NHS. Obviously, I work for it. I'm very passionate about the NHS. But when you have staff shortages, when you as a collective aren't awarded, I think, a deserved pay rise, for example, when you're running on empty because members of your team are off sick because of coronavirus, but nothing has been put in place to manage the workload, bearing in mind this pandemic that's happening, but we're still expected to go into work. All of these things put so much pressure on your ability to be the best that you can possibly be. So when we talk about the NHS, I'm talking about those sorts of pressures. The NHS, full stop, is an incredible institution to work for.
Yeah.
You build bonds, and you have this. I remember, you know, when in the first lockdown, when everybody was clapping on a Thursday evening, the first evening it happened, my husband was like, come on, let's go to the back door. I was like, no, what the fuck? I don't need to do that. Went to the back door, heard those claps, and I got goosebumps. I got really choked up. I'm not a crier. I got really choked up and was just like, oh my God. Like, I work for the NHS, and that's incredible.
But do you know what pisses me off though, is that this has been normalized for us, that we should be really happy with claps.
Yeah.
And that pisses me off.
Claps nice.
Yeah, it's lovely, but babes, I don't want your
yeah.
But to me, I just feel like, oh, we should be grateful because the world loves us, and it's just like, well, what difference does that make to my life?
What's a clap doing to me? It's not paying me more.
It's the staff shortages, it's the pressure, it's the working overtime, it's not being able to switch off, it's all of these things that get you down, and you have to build yourself up again.
And I'll tell you what else you can work. I feel like, I don't know because I haven't, but I feel like from hearing about my friends and whatever their experiences, I feel like working in the corporate world, and like a proper corporate company in the city, let's say, if you do something really good, you are recognized for it. In the NHS, in maternity right now, it feels like you can do your absolute best and do, oh my God, this is incredible. And then they'll want more from you. It's like, oh, all you've done there is raise the bar, keep going. And you think, oh my God, like, okay, at that point, a thank you would have just been great. Or, wow, this is incredible. Well done. Stop there.
I've got an example. Of that. So I had a woman once who I saw in clinic, and I'd been seeing her throughout her whole pregnancy. She came in to see me, and I did the check. Everything was fine. No symptoms of anything. And I just looked at her and thought, you don't look quite right. You look a bit puffy. And my instincts were saying something's wrong.
I remember this.
So I called the maternity day unit, and I was like, yo, I've got this woman, I'm going to send her in for X reason. And they were like, no. If everything is fine, just do her bloods and send her home. So I did that. And then I was like, nah, something doesn't feel right. Ran after her to the car park, got this woman to come back in. Anyway, really long story short, this woman had preeclampsia, and she was admitted and was induced. While she was in the hospital, she had a seizure, full-on seizure because of the preeclampsia. If I had taken her blood and sent her home, she would have had that seizure in her bed and died. Now, did I get a thank you or a clap?
No. Instead, you got it's really normal at that point. Why didn't you do it sooner?
Yeah.
Why didn't you pick this up earlier? And it's like, bitch, you told me to send her home.
And you know, when you just think, why am I here?
Yeah.
Home. And I just remember saying to my husband, I don't know what I'm doing. And he was like, I don't know what you're doing either. Get a proper job.
Yeah.
And I was like, What's proper? What does proper define proper job?
Aldi.
But do you know what? I feel like people in general just think just because you can say I work for the NHS, it means that, oh my God, you need to be like, you know, don't come at me with your problems that you've got going on at home. And it's like, I feel like, yes, you guys are genuinely our heroes with, you know, no capes, but we need to remember that the same way that we have corporate jobs, like I was working in hospitality, Mel, she like works in fraud and compliance and like big job. And it's like, it's the same thing. We're all workers and we're all under someone that will just be like, oh yeah, all right, well, that's your job. That's what you're supposed to do. And that just makes you feel shit as a person. And you are a human at the end of the day. And so many people always complain, oh my God, the NHS this, the NHS that, the GP, the receptionist. And it's like, yeah, but just because they work for this company, it doesn't mean that they also don't feel how you feel when you've done a great job and you don't feel appreciated.
I don't think people realize until they're in the situation having a baby. And it was like I used to come home often crying or just being like, when I tell you the shifts are so long and busy that you actually come home in pain. I've had loads of those kind of shifts. And my sister was one person who says to me, but you chose this job. No one you chose to do it. And that used to make me so mad, because I used to think I didn't choose to be treated like an absolute mug. I
overworked
to work and do my job and not be stretched to my absolute limit, you know, and just feel supported. And then when it came to my cousin having her baby, my sister was there and she was one of her birth supporters. In fact, it was that day onwards, it was when my kind of close family started to realize, oh my God, her job is intense, it's hard. And I just thought, I would fucking bring you to work with me every fucking day for you to have seen that, if that's all it took.
And
so
also, in those situations like the one you told us about, you saved this woman's life. Like, instead of pointing the finger, why didn't you do it sooner? Do you know what? Thank you. And that's it. Because
and you know what, Mel? I when I found out what happened, I was walking around like Billy Big Bollocks. I was like, oh my God, I'm fucking sick at my job. And then when I got hit with, well, why didn't you send her in sooner? I was like, yeah, what?
Yeah, you bitch.
I literally was just like, don't bring me down. Like, I've just been like walking on cloud nine. Like, I've done a decent job here.
Yeah.
Better than decent. I've done my job and more. And you're bringing me down for something. And it's just, it can become so draining. But this is where, and this is why, you know, we did a lot of work with some student midwives who are about to qualify. And we were like, find your person within the NHS, like within midwifery, who understands what you're going through, to be able to vent, to be able to offload, and to be able to reflect with, and then move on. Because if we hold on to this, then we become those midwives that are disinterested, don't really care, go in to get paid, leave, and that's it. And we don't care about the women's experience. Leah and I still care about the women's experience. The women's experience is the most important part of our jobs, NHS and private. I truly believe it's because we're able to vent, troubleshoot, and move forward with it. If you don't, you're just not going to stay in it for long at all.
And we come across that negative person everywhere.
Yeah, it's so true.
Exactly.
Nobody likes a negative Nancy, babe.
Nobody likes a negative Nancy.
Never. I remember after I had my daughter, so Jess and I live close by, and the same birthing centre was where I was going for my checkups after. And I forgot the lady's name, the midwife, but she was amazing. The aftercare I had from her was amazing. And I remember thinking, this one woman, I don't know if she understands the impact she made after I had my daughter, and how much I rely. I remember going to her the last appointment I had before I was going to get discharged, and I was like, please, can you keep me on an extra week, because I don't think I'm ready. And she was like, okay. And for me, that was the biggest lifeline ever. Yeah. So to be able to hear that you guys are doing such an amazing thing and doing it from the very beginning, as opposed to having this midwife and another person and this, and then as a new mum or a second time mum, you don't really know where you're standing. Yeah. It's nice, and it's a breath of fresh air to hear.
And this is the thing. This is why we do it, and this is why
the passion is it's still there. I do question myself. Sometimes I do come home and I think I need to change my job, and I just think I can't imagine myself doing anything else. Our passion is to empower women, full stop. And if that means we're helping them deliver their baby, if that means we're just giving them a shoulder to cry on, because sometimes our job isn't just delivering babies. sometimes our job is just being there with the flipping woman. Like, you don't need to be, it's not just birth all the time. There's actually so much before and after it that actually takes so much out of the woman, and labor isn't even the main thing. So I think that's truly our passion.
I had a woman once who in clinic, she would like vent and open up, and we just built this really good relationship, and she would bitch and moan about her partner.
Yeah.
Then they split for a bit and whatnot, whatever. Went to see her at home and the partner was there. I was like, you're right. And it was like I was her mate, honestly. And after she texted me, she was like, you're so fucking funny. She was like, you couldn't even hold it in. I was like, yeah, because he was a dick to you.
But
why.
Yeah, but do you know, we get really invested. But do you know, that's how I feel like with some of our Better Birth clients now.
Yeah.
Because we've got this group package. We've got this group package that keeps going up, and we've just constantly WhatsApping and we're sending TikToks to each other. It's just too much.
I was just going to ask you that the clientele that you've had through Better Births, like, obviously this is where you both want to be focused on. This is your passion. How do you feel your relationship with your clients are with Better Births than when you're actually going into the NHS?
I think it's really similar because of our personalities, if I'm honest. The way I would be with my clients, NHS clients, with my clinic when I had a clinic, is very similar to how I would communicate with the women on Better Births. With the Better Births women, I feel like genuinely, because we have the group chat, everybody's added to a group chat, like individual group chats, not one big one. And I feel like they can come to us and say, the midwife did this at my check, what do you think? And we're like, midwife's a dickhead. and so like, but we can be so brutally honest, and we can say, what you're going to ask her at your next appointment is X, Y, Z. She's going to tell you A, and you are going to tell her, I want H. And that's how it's going to go. And it's our personalities in a chat, isn't it? Yeah. And it's about women. I said it at the beginning, but this is what it comes down to. It's about women knowing that this is your experience. Knowledge is power. Ignorance is not bliss. Yeah. And it's about us being in their pocket as their midwife as their midwife in a pocket, being like, bitch, ask her this. And they don't need to know that it came from us.
It's that second and third opinion the entire time, and just saying, oh my God, women, if any woman says to you in their pregnancy, they don't Google shit, they're fucking lying. And we're just saying, don't Google, because Google chats shit too. Come and ask us. Let us be your Google for 10 months. Let us do it.
You guys are literally the good angel and the devil on the shoulder, left and right shoulder. And to be fair, let's face it, once you're in a WhatsApp group chat, like, it's about to go down. So it's like...
We've got a woman at the moment, she's not had her baby yet. And she said to us, can I just ask what happens like once I've had the baby and the group chat ends? And we were like, oh no, babe, it never ends.
Yeah, we keep it.
It just goes quiet for a bit, but it's still there. We're there if you need us.
All of a sudden they're thinking, this sounds very convincing. Is there like a radius, or is it, do I have to birth at your hospital?
No. We taught somebody in Israel, we taught somebody in India, we taught somebody in Nigeria. Yeah. So we have group chats with all these people. The time difference can be an issue, but we get over it.
But we're good. Katie's always up in the morning. I'm always up late at night. We covered the 24 hours.
We cover 24 hours. But this is the joy of it, is that we don't need to be like close by geographically. No, we are there to support all the women that connect with what our vibe is. We're there for them, whoever it is.
Yeah.
Mama, I love you.
Where do you see your Better Births in 5 years' time?
Oh my God.
Oh my God. Where do I?
Oh my God.
The dream.
What dream?
That we're no longer working in the NHS.
Oh, the dream. The actual dream. I thought you meant I dreamt something.
No, this dream.
It's going to happen. We're manifesting it.
We're all about manifestation. All about it enough, it's going to happen.
Absolutely. So the dream. In the next 5 to 10 years, Better Births is going to be global. It's going to branch out internationally. We're going to be huge. Everyone who is pregnant is going to think Better Births, because I'm going to have a better birth. I am fucking worthy of a better birth.
In 5 years, we are going to have midwives working with us, not for us, because I don't like that phrase.
No.
We're going to have midwives working with us who have the same attitude, the same vibe, the same passion, and are able to take on these group chats and the classes exactly like Leela and I do.
And it's just going to be good fucking vibes everywhere.
Yeah. We're going to be
Listen, I feel like I need to go get pregnant tonight. Tonight.
Like, where do I sign up?
Okay, I'm like, oh my god, Katie and Leela, I am in that WhatsApp group with my next baby.
Legit. And you know what? Nothing brings us more joy than when people actually say that. I know you're joking, and people often are, but it brings us so much joy. So we're just like, yes, you're on board with what we want.
I think I have to be really, really honest. When we first started this, there was so much like, so what do we do? Like, how should we be? And whatever. And we always came down to the fact that actually we just want to be ourselves. And we did this one NHS class together, and the feedback that people came up with was like, you guys bounced off each other, this, that. And it was so natural for us. We didn't try, it wasn't even planned. I turned up just to observe Kate, and then she needed a helping hand. And then it just turned into like an acting show. It was like a fucking theatre. And they just loved it. And then from there, we just thought, no, we need to make this a thing. They fucking loved it. And we've always said, let's just be our absolute selves. And that's why you'll find us on Instagram. We're not trying to be anybody else. I would be lying if I said so much, but we do get some hate sometimes on Instagram. And there's it's a female dominant industry, you know? So there's a lot of bitchiness, and you know, behind closed doors, people are comparing and they're hating and they're just bad mouthing. And you just think, you do you, boo. Like, these are not the type of women that we want. You're not our kind of women. Our cup of tea are the women who want to be empowered, the ones who are like, yes, and pushing you through. But Instagram can be a cruel place. So when you turn around and you guys who've never met us before can sit there and say to us at the beginning of this podcast and say, you guys are good vibes, you guys are honest, you guys are this, that, and the other. And the fact that that's showing through our social media, it means we're doing our fucking job.
Honestly, I think as some of the stories that the girls have had on, they're quite horror, and sometimes it does make you get that bad taste in your mouth. You think, you know, gosh, I'm a bit hesitant, like, is that what my experience is going to be like? I don't want to have that horrible kind of midwife, or, you know. And hearing this from two women who are clearly passionate about what they do and their experience, and how important it is to just have that mum be the main focus, is a breath of fresh air. And I think a lot of women who will listen to this episode now will have some faith as well in knowing that both of you work for the NHS, that this is something you're rolling out and you're working towards. And okay, there's a percentage of women who aren't maybe in it anymore, and unfortunately they're still midwives, but there's also that percentage, and if we're really lucky, hopefully you will get midwives.
And it's the majority. It's the majority.
And you know, the other really important thing, and we always say this in our classes, your birth experience is yours. That's the key thing. It's your birth experience. If you have a midwife walk through the door at 7:30 in the morning and takes over from the midwife you had the night before, and you don't click with her or him, you say something. And so many women are like, oh, I don't want to upset anyone.
Or so many women said, I didn't even know you're allowed to do that.
Yeah.
It's like,
and you're like,
what?
This is your experience. Why are we not setting you up to win? Why are we setting you up for failure?
Let's put it this way. You go for your wedding day and you end up in a venue that you absolutely hate. You will 100% say, drop me the fuck out. I am not getting married in this shithole.
When I got married the night before, I went in and I said, yo, babe, what is the tablecloths? What's going on? She said to me, they're ivory. I went, they're not ivory, they're buttercup yellow. Ew. So somebody at 7:00 in the evening on a Friday needs to go find me some white tablecloths, because I'm not putting up with it.
And that's how you ladies need to be about your birth.
Yeah.
Not ivory. No, ivory, not buttercup yellow.
Not buttercup yellow. And bitch, it wasn't ivory. My dress was ivory and it wasn't buttercup yellow.
But see, this is interesting, because I don't think a lot of us mums maybe know about like our birthing rights necessarily. And actually, I don't think ever throughout my pregnancy going to a session with like a midwife or a healthcare professional and them saying, right, these are your rights.
Yeah.
When it comes to birthing, I don't think I ever had that, because I didn't even know that if you didn't feel comfortable, you can ask to change. I mean, of course, if there's a confrontation, but
yeah, and they probably told you about your iron level, but they didn't tell you that you don't have a midwife swab.
Yeah.
And this is where I keep on going on about it, but this is where Better Birth comes in, because this is the type of information you'll see on our Instagram. This is the drip of information to enhance your birth experience that women need.
And that's why people hate us.
Yeah.
If you have haters, you're doing a good job. It always means good. And also, just adding on to what Mel said, I feel like for the most part, you go in and the medics are so firm about, no, this is how you do it, you're also made to feel like, oh, okay, I don't have a choice, I guess. And I guess.
And how many times have we all walked in, health, normal person, healthcare professional, whatever the hell you are, whatever your background is, I'm guilty of it. I'll sit in front of my GP and think, well, my GP knows best. And actually I come out and I speak to Kate and I'm just like, and even Katie will be like, really, that was wrong. Like, go back and do this. And you just think, shit, we all need a midwife in our life.
But it's so true. I mean, I'm a midwife, and I was told when I was pregnant that I needed to be induced.
Yeah.
And I said, I don't really want that. And I ended up walking out of the appointment with a date for induction later than I wanted. Not cancelled, just later than I wanted. And I came out and I was like, why have I agreed to that? So then obviously changed my mind, went back in, whatever. But the average woman wouldn't do that. They just go, oh, I'm going to be induced, fine. Yeah. So it's all about knowing that things are your choice, 100%, every single step of the way, it's your choice. Really interesting. There's been, I don't know if you guys know about it, but a recent, what's the word? A draft of guidelines when it comes to induction of labour, and there's the suggestion that more women are in the catchment to be induced at 39 weeks. The biggest message that we can send as midwives, if this gets approved, is it is your choice. You don't let anyone coerce you into a decision. So it's things like this that women need to know about. But trust me, you know your HB, you know your own level.
Yeah. My cousin's recently had a baby, and she was just very slow to progress. Well, very slow. It took her overnight, and that's it. But they said, if we don't get you moving, you have to be induced. And she was like, I feel fine. I'm getting my contractions. Like, I don't understand. And obviously I didn't say anything to her at the time, but I remember thinking, why do they need to induce her? Like, all her vitals are absolutely perfect. The baby is fine. Why do you need to go do that? Anyways, within that hour, she went from 3 centimeters to pushing in an hour, and she had her baby in that hour. And then obviously when I caught up with her, I was like, it's so weird that they've just, but again, I think it's, and correct me if I'm wrong, is it because obviously the NHS, like in hospitals, they need the beds, so they need you in and out quick.
And you know when you're in the hospital, you're put on a timeline. That's the thing. So if you then aren't progressing as per protocol, then it's a problem. But what women and doctors, everybody, all of us need to remember is that for a woman to progress, she needs to feel safe. She needs to feel empowered. She needs to feel loved, because that's going to increase the hormone that you need to be able to contract effectively. When we feel stressed because the doctor's come in and said, you're not progressing as well as I'd like, well, the stress hormone is going to come in and knock off everything that you need for a labour to progress. Yeah. So it's one of those things where it's like the minute you're in the hospital, the pressure to just get the woman delivered outweighs what we all learn at uni. We spend 3 years learning this. Why does it go out of the window? It shouldn't go out of the window.
I feel like we can literally sit here and listen to your stories all night. Like, I'm literally like, oh my god, there's so much to talk about, but obviously we don't want to hold you back the whole night. We've obviously put to the Instagram some questions. I will kick it off with you're saying that obviously it's always your decision, and is there any point that you genuinely have no choice and you have to listen to what your medics are saying? And is that just when, like, is that situation just when your baby is basically, the heartbeat is dropping?
I think that when it comes to a point where we would think, oh my God, just listen to the doctor, the mum would know that. And the mum's decision would be to listen to the doctor, if that makes sense. I think your instinct will tell you whether it's safe for you to actually step back and make a decision, and whether you've got time to do that and question it. In an emergency situation, that's the only time I would say, oh my God, listen to a doctor. And only then, I wouldn't even say listen to the doctor. I would say read the room. And women do. And in my entire career, I've had one woman that I cannot even believe I'm saying I've had one, but I've seen one woman who during an emergency, like you could hear the heart rate was just getting lower and lower, was declining the C-section. And for us, that was like, oh my gosh. And that was it. But like, anyway, she still ended up having her baby and everything was absolutely fine. And she did go down the C-section route, but she just felt really, really forced. Now, everybody else that I've ever come across in an emergency, it's that eye contact that you have with the doctor and between the two of you or with your midwife, and you just think, you just know, you know what, I don't feel safe here, and what you're saying is right, and I need to do that. And even then, you're listening to yourself. It's not the doctor you're listening to yourself. So I think, no, there is always always, in every single second of this journey, there is always a choice. And I think that your instinct will tell you whether you have time to make one or not, and what the options are going to be.
And I think that's when motherhood really begins. It's always your instinct.
Yeah,
Always.
100%.
The first one that kind of stood out to me was, have you noticed people of ethnic minorities being treated differently by medical professionals?
I can hand on heart say the trust where we work at, I don't see it, but the women that we look after and the stories we hear and, you know, the accounts that we follow on Instagram, I can truly believe it. And a lot of the time, what you might see is an underlying bias, an unconscious discrimination. I don't think that where we work and the colleagues that I work with and what I see, I don't see overt racism or discrimination.
I don't think it's obvious.
But this system is inherently biased. That's the issue.
I have seen it though, and I wouldn't say it's a really, really hard one. It's not hard. I see it. I do see it. And I see it more so when it comes to people where there's a language barrier. And I think that there's this assumption that you don't know. So just trust me. And so I'm going to tell you what to do. And I think at that point, it's like, hang on, why are we not taking the time to call an interpreter and making sure that she actually understands? Again, it comes down to the time pressures. It comes down to the availability of an interpreter, you know, all these kinds of things. These should all be readily accessible for women so that they can make an informed choice. But I have seen it out of our field, out of maternity, and I've seen it within maternity. And I think that I really, really think, and this is not to go against what Kate's saying, I think that anyone who says otherwise is being blind to it. That's what I think. And again, to clarify, Kate's not saying that it's not there. It's there. But if you ever hear people say, no, it's not, it is.
But I think the issue is that it's subconscious.
Yes.
It's not overt. It's not.
And also, it's just like what you were saying. Sometimes I see it and I'm just like, I also know you're not intending to be racist, but you're that's how it's coming across. So you need to, let's all take a step back and reevaluate. And I think all this stuff in social media has really opened everyone's eyes, and that's why it's so important to speak up about it. And it's
put it this way, it's one of these things like the 5 times more campaigns. So women from Black and minority ethnic groups, Black women specifically, are 5 times more likely to die in labour and birth. A midwife saying, okay, so I think with my clients, what I'm going to do is I'm going to give them longer appointments. No, babe, that's not what that woman needs. That woman needs educating. She needs to understand why she's 5 times more likely to die in her pregnancy, labour and birth. It's one of these things where we need to educate women on the things they need to be looking out for. We as midwives need to be more aware of these things, what we are looking out for these clients, so that we can best support them. It's not about... It's
not a one size fits all.
Yeah,
it can't
and it's those unconscious actions that are a problem.
Unfortunately, we all got taught, you all got taught in the job, of course we did, but there was a textbook.
Yeah.
And you're all reading from the same textbook, but the textbook doesn't say, for Asian women, these are the rules. And for Black women, these are the rules. And then for white women, this is how it is. You just, in this country, you see a majority, depending on what hospital you're in, you see the majority white. And if you haven't got the experience of the diverse community, then you apply all of your knowledge to every single person. And you cannot paint people with the same brush. You just can't do that.
We're lucky we work in a London trust, because we have a multi-ethnic, a diverse population of women that we look after. I remember in my training, there was some of the students went to a hospital further up north. Anyway, they were predominantly white women.
Yeah.
When I mentioned that I'd looked after a client who had experienced FGM, so female genital mutilation, these girls were like, who?
Yeah.
Not a Scooby-Doo. And you're just sat there like, it's based on where you're placed to learn that you understand these complexities in the care that we're giving women. Yeah. So this is why I say it's unconscious. It's a subconscious bias that some people have, and it's dependent on what they see and the culture that they work in, that type of thing. But it needs to change. It's a problem. It's a big, big problem.
Huge.
Another question that kind of stood out to me, is it possible to request for the umbilical cord to drop off naturally?
Yeah. So the umbilical cord does drop off naturally, but when a baby is born, the routine practice is to cut and clamp the cord. So you clamp the cord, you cut it, and then that little stump then dries off and that falls off naturally. But there are some women, and not many, I have to admit, but there are some women who will request for a lotus birth. So the umbilical cord is attached to the placenta, in case people listening don't know that. But it's attached to the placenta. So they'll ask for a lotus birth, which means that the placenta comes out without you having to cut and clamp anything. The baby is attached to the placenta until that cord dries off, and basically you throw it away with the placenta. It's still attached to the placenta.
So you basically walk around with twins, one baby, one placenta.
Yeah, I was just gonna say, so does that mean I'll come home with my baby and my placenta?
I had one woman in my 11 years that did this, and she was like, my mother-in-law said that like it's got a funny smell, but I don't think it smells at all. And I'm like,
Okay. I can't smell it.
It smelled like rotten flesh.
Yeah, it doesn't smell
And she was
nice.
putting like the herbs on it, and I'm like,
Yeah, they do that.
It smells good.
Do you know what? Sometimes I think everyone believes there's benefits in certain things, and each to their own, right? If that's kind of their way of
You support them in
whatever after, then good for you. But yeah, no.
Good for you, boo.
Yeah. One other question, and then maybe Jess,
Yeah.
in case there's anything that stands out for you. Can you decline the vitamin K jab?
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so it's important to understand what the vitamin K is all about. So vitamin K, we all have vitamin K in our bodies. It's a product that helps us clot our blood. That's why we have it. Babies are born with a sterile gut, and the gut is what produces the vitamin K. So with every type of delivery, there's a risk of bleeding for every baby. It's one of those things where we give a shot of vitamin K to clot any bleeding that there might be. So it's your choice whether you want to have it. And some women will say, well, I want to see what my delivery is like. I'll decide once I see what happens. If my baby has a really difficult delivery in a forceps and they put a lot of pressure on my baby's head, then maybe I'll decide to have the vitamin K. If I have a gorgeous birth with absolutely no intervention at all, my baby literally slides out because I've been doing my pelvic floor for 9 months, wicked, then I've decided I don't want to have it. Remember also, you've got a choice with regards to how your baby is administered the vitamin K. So it can be a one-off injection, or you could decide to give for your baby to have it orally. The problem with having it orally is that we don't know how much they actually absorb. So it's you're required to give more than one dose. That's the only thing. But it's 100% your choice. This is what I find really interesting, is that a lot of women don't realize that these are their choices to make. They just go
every single thing
Yes.
in maternity, in your pregnancy, in your healthcare, whether it's your GP, your midwife, your doctor, whoever the hell it is a choice. Absolutely everything.
Even like, you guys might remember when your baby was 5 days old, the midwife comes and does a heel prick test on the baby's foot. It's your choice. You don't have to have that screening if you don't want to have it.
I didn't know that. Not that.
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Not that I would say no.
No,
Exactly.
But you know, this is why our language is so important, because
Yes.
I'll go into a woman's home and I will say, this is what we're testing for. We test all babies in the UK with your permission, but you can choose to opt out. What would you like to do? If you ask somebody, what would you like you said, the chances are they're going to say yes anyway. But at that point, you've told them why, you've explained what you're screening for, you've explained why, you've explained who you screen, and is this a routine thing? Would you like it? It's an open-ended question. Would you like it, babes? You're not saying, I'm going to come in and I'm going to do this.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
And then she's just going to say, okay, fine. Like, I'm sure it must be what my baby needs.
Yeah, exactly, because the language that the medic uses automatically makes you think, oh my God, if they don't get it, then if something's going to happen, and oh my God, his blood's not going to clot, and does that mean what the hell?
Yes, yeah, maybe. The reason we do that day 5 test is to pick up genetic disorders early on, things that we can start treating from day 5 onwards. It can save a life. But if a mum knows this, of course she's going to say yes, or maybe she will choose not to, but at least she'll be aware of the implications. It's like you have to say it, and then she'll know what questions to ask. Women aren't stupid, but I feel like sometimes the way we explain things to them, or the way we talk to them, we make them feel like they are stupid, and that's not fair. That's not fair.
Oh my God, I didn't know it was for the genetics and stuff. I thought it was like diabetes.
No, the heel prick test on day 5 is for genetic disorders.
Oh, amazing.
Also, when you said pelvic floor, I automatically clenched. I was like, oh, yeah, remember.
I've definitely not been doing it today.
Oh, here we go.
Ladies, thank you so much. Honestly, this has been amazing. I have one last question. Well, I've got 2 actually. One, what are the packages that you offer? And where can our listeners find you, and how does that work?
So the packages that we offer antenatal classes. They're bespoke antenatal classes. So they're one-to-one. Katie and I do lead classes ourselves with yourself and your partner if you choose, or whoever you want to be part of the session. It is as long or as short as you want it to be. And then, so that's the bespoke package. You can have the class on its own. You can have we offer a huge bundle where you can have the one-to-one, the group chat, the postnatal package, everything in one. If you wanted things separately, we also offer a group chat package, which means that you might not be a fan of Zoom classes or face-to-face classes. And in that case, you just want to be drip fed information. You just want someone to just have there in your pocket to be able to ask questions, and along the way, just learn in that way. And that's what the group chat package is for. And we also have for second-time mums, third-time mums, however many baby mums you have, whatever, you know what I mean by what I just said. But yeah, it's a class for them. So it's not necessarily teaching absolutely everything. It's just about going through your birth the first time round or the second time round or whatever number it was, and then discussing how we can prevent or change or do things the same or differently to make your experience better. Lastly, we offer the postnatal package, and our postnatal package is support for 28 days after your baby is born. And that is for support with mental health, with feeding, with absolutely anything that comes with the postnatal side of things. So we are we're all over your pregnancy at any stage if you want it, and postnatally. And where can people find us, Kate?
You can find us on our website, which is www.betterbirthanc.
Yeah, ANC. betterbirthanc.com.
But most people actually find us on our Instagram.
Yeah.
And so just message us on there.
Yeah, and that's at betterbirthanc.
I feel like Google is about to lose their job. I feel like, don't Google, go to Better Birth ANC. And just one last small question is, what is the one thing that you want every single woman that come to you ladies to take away with them?
For me, it's going to be, you know your body best. You are literally the top of your list of priorities. You look after yourself, your mind, your body, your soul, everything. And then with that comes looking after your baby. Put yourself first, but also trust yourself and have that confidence in yourself first and foremost. If you don't have that, come to us. You can come to us, go to whoever you feel like you need to be able to instill that into yourself, because that is key to a better birth experience.
Do you know what? we're always on the same page, but that's mine. I think information is key. Knowledge is power. And to have an empowered experience is to have a better birth experience.
Yeah.
And to be mindful that better birth experience is not achieving a vaginal birth. It's about your experience, because trust me, this journey to motherhood needs to have a strong foundation.
Yeah.
And achieving that better birth experience, whatever it is reliant on knowledge. Knowledge is power.
Just enjoy it.
Yeah.
Just have a good time.
Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Girls normally end the episode with a golden tip, and I think you've given so many tips already, but what you've just wrapped up there is amazing. So I'm gonna take that as the golden tip for this episode.
Yeah. I think that's very important. I do want to emphasize on that I feel like your birth will really put you in the right direction for what the 4th trimester is. And I feel like, one of the polls that we put out today was, do you feel like your medic team can impact you negatively or positively? And I feel like at the end of the day, the way you see that how your birth went is ultimately how you feel, will go on as positive. Not really to blame other people.
Literally, we don't shut up. But one more thing that I want to say, legit, is if there is anybody out there who's listening to this podcast, doesn't matter if your baby is 2 months old, 3 years old, or 11, whatever it is, Leela and I are so passionate that a birth experience should never, ever hold you back in your journey throughout motherhood. So Leela and I are always here. If there is anybody ever who is being held back in life by their birth experience, get in touch with us.
Yeah.
There's no package for this. It's just about being able to debrief it. It's so important to really look back on that experience.
Just DM us.
And even if the experience wasn't great, have it with you forever, for always, but have step forward with it. Don't be held back by it. So just know that we're here for that conversation as well, if anybody ever needs it.
Guys, I love you, honestly.
I'm just getting listening to the clapping, you know, when
I'll add it to the effects. I'll add some
Thursday night, girls. Let's go.
It's Thursday. Thank you so much. Honestly, it's been so amazing to speak to someone on the more positive side of the spectrum of what midwifery is. Guys, we've missed Love Island, but
Recording.
We will let you guys go now, and you guys will soon get a message from me. It'll be like, guys, I'm pregnant. Ladies, thank you so much.
Thank you. It was amazing.
Mel, thank you so much for coming on. I feel like good old times, Throwback Thursday.
Yes. Oh my god, literally is a Thursday. No, it was good. It was nice, and I'm sorry if I was rusty, guys.
Yeah, no, hopefully we'll have you back for another special.
Yeah, no, and also, guys, Erica will be back. She just really wasn't feeling too good, and for her to turn around and say she can't make it is because she wasn't feeling the greatest. So, and I will carry on being in the bushes like Homer Simpson, the silent M.
Also, I just really want to finish this episode with this little quick story, only because I feel like you'll be able to relate with me, because the guys have heard your side of the story with this. So this morning I woke up, it was 7:30 in the morning, and he's screaming in my face, and he's like, "Mama, Papa," and I'm like, and in my head I'm like, oh, he's done a poo in his nappy, and like, you know, and he kept like barging something in my face, and I opened my eyes, and there's a ball in his hand, and it's his shit, and I was like, you know, when you're like half asleep and you're like, no, that is not what I think it is. And guys, I actually took it out of his hand because I thought, like, what is this? And it was so dark, and I was just trying to like figure it, and then I realized, oh my god, this is poo, and it didn't stink. And I was like, oh my god, this is poo. And I just literally thought of you because of when that time you found Maya's poo on the floor.
Just chilling there, and she was trying to grab it. I remember that day, I literally flew to her and just pushed her out the way, like, no, slow motion.
Imagine.
To you, boy.
Nah, it was, he literally, like, left us door, just throw it in my face, and he was like, Mama, Papa. And I'm like, oh my god, throw it in the bin and just go wash your hands. Like, literally, let me bleach your hands up. Yeah, guys, that is a wrap. So poo is not bad.
No, it's not. And if you're pooing, it's a great sign. So basically, ladies, just shit away.
Mama's Code out. Mwah.
Mama's Code.